Yeah, so record ranked episode 1. Woo, yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Uh it's an idea I've had for a bit. So, yeah, record ranked. Our first one we're going to look at was suggested by Dawn. Facelift by Alice in Chains. Released in, what was it, 1990?
1990, yes.
And it's their debut album.
What
If I
a
remember.
debut.
Yeah, seriously. I will say I'm not the biggest grunge guy in the world, and the only song I really know off this album is "Man in a Box."
And honestly, I think that's probably most people's reaction when they, think of this album, if they even think about it anymore. Is that um the two singles from the song was "We Die Young" and "Man in the Box." And "Man in the Box" got you know a music video that went around MTV like crack cocaine, and I think that song is still probably stuck on every single uh, you know radio rock station that plays in the country. I don't think
Oh yeah,
anybody is ever going to get away from that song as
oh
much
no,
as they wish they would.
yeah, it's gonna be everywhere and it's gonna stay everywhere just because how solid a song it is.
It's pretty solid.
If I remember correctly, this whole album's dedicated to Jerry Cantrell's mom.
I cannot confirm that, but
I remember reading somewhere. I think the song "Sunshine" is
some,
specifically in dedication to her. And let me double check this.
since Cantrell wrote "Sunshine" about his mother's death, and
Yeah.
"Facelift" was dedicated to her memory.
Yep. Yep. I love the fact that they went to go record the album or their demo. The studio they were gonna go record at got busted for a giant weed operation in the state's history.
Yeah, well, uh, I think people forget that this album came out at a time when you know there was not really much going on in Seattle. The biggest thing that had happened in Seattle, earlier, the year prior to the release of this album was Metallica's, live show, and that was, kind of the biggest thing going on. The other big band, big band I can immediately think of from, the Washington State, Seattle scene and stuff like that was Queensryche, and they had had a lot of success towards the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, actually right around when this album came out. And I actually have to say this is probably the first true grunge album that came out that went anywhere, and did anything. And
Yeah, it's
and not very long after this album came out, just 6 months later, Nevermind by Nirvana came out, and that thing exploded and was everywhere. And then
yeah.
you had not too long after that, you had another album from Alice in Chains. You had Stone Temple Pilots. You had Nirvana going around. You had Soundgarden coming out not too long afterwards. Just
Pearl
Pearl Jam.
Jam,
Yeah, exactly.
just that whole grunge Seattle sound really was kicked off with this album
I would say so.
in a
And
way.
this album
You
is
know,
kind of I think for people that, immediately think of grunge and they think of Nirvana and they think sort of that kind of thing, this is a lot different from Nevermind and, anything else from Nirvana in that way. I think this takes a lot more from, like heavy metal and rock music and stuff like that.
yeah.
So, I think it's definitely a, in my opinion, anyways, it's a more viable sound to get into sort of the grunge music of the early 90s with. I think it's a lot more accessible to the average listener than uh, even Nevermind, as huge of an album as it is.
Oh yeah, and at that point, Nirvana's become more than a band. It's a phrase. It's a
It's an
logo.
identity. I mean, it's definitely a lot more than the music at a certain point.
Mhm. Well, speaking of the music, let's get to it. So, let's see the bracket. It was randomly assigned by me pressing shuffle on Spotify. So, um, yeah. So we got Sea of Sorrow and Sunshine, Real Thing, Confusion, Put You Down versus Man in the Box, We Die Young, I Know Something About You, Bleed the Freak versus Love Hate
Oh,
Love,
that's
and
going to be a
It Ain't
tough
Like
one.
That versus I Can't Remember. See, as I said, the only song I know is Man in the Box, so
Okay.
I'm excited to see what all these songs are.
I I'm excited for
So,
you. This is going to be a I think this is going to be a good kickoff for us to get into for sure.
see, and this is the whole reason why I had the idea for this, because I listen to so much music, and there's many times where it's like, oh, I listen to one song off that album. What's the rest of that album like?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I listened to like 3 or 4 songs off this album, but that's like the front of the album. What's their deep cuts? What is their full sound? And yeah, so without any further ado, let's start with Sea of Sorrow. Just Lane Staley's face as it fades out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that like in the first chorus, right at the end, that little guitar riff he hits. That's so like it sounds like 50s Chuck Berry type.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's like the music really, like, if you think about it in like pieces and parts, really should not work. But then you put it all together and it's yeah, it's really impressive.
Yeah, that drummer stayed in the
Oh
pocket
yeah.
and was tight. Like it its ebb and flow was very good too. It would slow down, speed up, and it was overall I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's the second longest song on the album at 5 minutes and 49 seconds. It's the third song off the album. It immediately follows the two singles, "We Die Young" and "Man in the Box." So it's got some big shoes to fill, if you will, for being the third song on the album. And I think
Mhm.
I think it's really good. I think it's definitely one of the better songs off of this album. And it's kind of I think as we, I certainly know this because I think I'm more familiar with the album than you are, but I think towards the end of this, you're gonna really understand how hard it is like we're pitting some songs against each other, how hard it's gonna be to really decide.
That's the thing. It can just be one little musical element that puts one song above the
Yeah,
other in just that
absolutely.
moment. And like next week, this entire bracket and this entire lineup can
Oh,
change.
absolutely.
Just yeah, that's why I love this idea. So that was Sea of Sorrow. So now let's go to Sunshine, the song dedicated to Jerry, or written about Jerry Cantrell's mother passing away. Well, fuck.
As I say,
I
that's a pretty
that's
tough one, isn't it?
that's a tough one. I won't lie. I loved that southern rock guitar riff throughout the whole
Yeah,
song. That
yeah,
real slow,
it's cool.
twangy.
Yeah, and it's got, some feel changes and stuff, like when it slows down to go to the first chorus and stuff. It's just, and I mean, Lane Staley's vocals are they're just phenomenal.
Yeah, like incredible. Uh, I think for me, I'm gonna have to go Sunshine.
And I am gonna go the other way with Sea of Sorrow.
You're gonna go see a
Yeah, that's
sorrow?
the one I'm going with.
Okay.
And that's a hard choice because they're both really good. I think I like the pacing of Sea of Sorrow just a little bit better. And I know it's kind of hard to compare the two songs really, just because one is kind of like a lot slower than the other one.
See, I knowing the emotional connection behind
Yeah,
Sunshine and what it means also adds some weight to it.
true.
And I think Lane Staley's vocal performance, especially in the chorus in Sunshine, is just a little bit stronger than in Sea of Sorrow, in my opinion. It's strong in Sea of Sorrow, but I I like Sunshine. It's gonna move forward for me.
Okay.
All right. So next, we go from the left to the right side of the bracket. We Die Young and I Know Something
Yeah.
About
So
You.
"We Die Young" is the first single off the album. It's the first thing that anybody in the world ever heard
Mm-hmm.
from. Outside of the local Seattle area, this is the first thing that the world ever heard of uh, Alice in Chains. I think it's the shortest song on the whole album.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
that abrupt stop ending.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
the
that's.
first song off the album, and it's the first single, and it's 2.5 minutes long.
I mean, hearing these three songs, it's just hearing where all of the what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypes, all the stereotypes of grunge music, where they all are originating from, and it's interesting hearing how they were first implemented
Yeah, and
or
it's
implemented.
funny because I guess when Jerry Cantrell was asked about the song, he said he wrote "We Die Young" after riding the bus to rehearsal and seeing 9, 10, 11-year-old kids with beepers dealing drugs, and the sight of a 10-year-old kid with a beeper and a cell phone dealing drugs equaled "We Die Young" to him. And it's yeah, that's crazy.
And there's just always something ironic when a musician makes a song and they name it something like "We Die Young," and then tragically they end up dying young.
Yeah, yeah. Wayne Staley was not very old when he died. He might have been in his early 30s. No, he was not. He was 34. My bad. Yeah, he was 34.
34. But still, you look at all the people in his era that are still around, and they're still making music. They're still performing.
Well, it's the sad part is out of the four bands, well, with the exception of one, the four bands that we mentioned, obviously Alice in Chains, the band we're talking about right now, Nirvana, Soundgarden, and the Stone Temple Pilots. Every one of those bands' original singer is no longer with us. Some lasted longer than others,
Yeah.
but yeah, everybody that was there for that moment in time is not here anymore.
The original voices of that generation have passed.
Yeah, they're all gone.
And I guess it's a testament to like the mood that they were putting out there, this dreary and dark yet finding light in it. And some people found that light a lot further down than
Yeah, and
others.
people definitely give grunge bands a kind of a bad rap for that sort of thing. But people have to understand that, like, musicians dying because of drug problems or because of car crashes, freak accidents and stuff, like, that's not a new phenomenon. Even when this was released, and
I mean, hell, the day the music died,
yeah,
like way back in the day, like it's been happening. It'll
right,
continue
right,
happening. We still have musicians dying out of the blue,
yep, yep. It's just it's
and
something that happens. And fortunately, in the modern day and age, I think problems like heroin addictions and like super super dangerous addictions, I feel like are not as prevalent as they once were. But it's still just it's such a crazy. It's crazy how many of those bands have lost at least one of their members, if not multiple members. I mean, two of the members that played on this album are no longer with us. You know, Lane Staley, and then I do believe the bass player is no longer with us either.
And the bass player, the album cover, that is a picture of the bass player.
Yeah, yeah, Mike Starr is their bass player, and he's no longer with us. But yeah, the album cover is kind of an amalgamation of all their faces superimposed together. The most prominently is Mike Starr.
It was just Mike Starr. They ended up doing one with all four of them for like an anniversary release in like
Oh,
2000
okay.
in the 2010s. That's when they released that full art. The album cover is just the bassist.
Oh, okay.
Because they did one for each member, and then they did one where it's all superimposed, and they all believed that the
Oh, I see.
bassist
Okay.
looked the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story with that one. They just had like barely enough money to cover one day of photo shoots with this photo artist. And the guy liked him so much that he stretched it out into like 3 days worth of photo shoots and stuff like that. And yeah, that's sort of what sort of what it turned into. It's cool.
yeah, and it's some crazy, incredible art that leaves an impression with you.
Yeah, I mean it's iconic, and I could only imagine, picking it up from, being a young kid in, some faraway state, obviously farther away than, Washington State, where they originated from, but like,
Yeah, just
just
being some kid
seeing this
in
appear in the record
Ohio.
store one
Yeah,
day in 1990. Yeah, exactly. And, they're just like, man, what the fuck is this? You know, there's definitely been some strange album covers over the year, but like this one's a little stark. And seeing something like that, man, that really draws your attention to it. And I'm sure looking at it and listening to the music at the same time is, probably was a very surreal sort of experience. And it's crazy, just reading about it. They only sold like 40,000 records in the first 6 weeks. So it was kind of a or first 6 months, not even 6 weeks. It was 40,000 copies in 6 months. And once MTV added
Man in the Box.
Man in the Box to the regular daytime rotation, is when it peaked at Man in the Box peaked at number 18, and CSRO peaked at number 27. And 6 weeks after they started doing that rotation, Facelift sold 400,000 copies, and then would eventually go on to be the first grunge album certified gold. So, and Nirvana's Nevermind would follow later in 1991. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting how this whole thing came to be.
yeah, it's crazy that as you said, Lane Staley was like what 23 when
23. Most of the members of the band were not very old when
and
this album came out.
just the musicianship coming from these young kids. It's
Yeah,
mind blowing.
it's really really impressive. Yeah, the drummer, he would have been 24. So Sean Kinney would have been 24. Let's see, Jerry Cantrell would have been 24. And then Mike Starr was also 24. So pretty much everybody was 24, with the exception of Lane Staley being 23. So just thinking about the music first of all, but just thinking about the whole thing, really, I mean, especially in today's day and age, I mean, a lot of bands aren't, popping out until they're in their maybe their late 20s at the earliest.
Yeah, they dropped 3 albums.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, they had to work their way up. Yeah, they had to work their way up and work their ass off to get up off the ground and stuff. And then, I mean, back even at this point, you had bands, they came in right at the end of, you know, record labels seeking out music. Record labels had a lot of money. They would find bands that were very popular in certain cities and stuff like that, and then give them a shot at hitting it big with a record. And this is all before cell phones. This is all before, certainly before any social media or anything like that. And your biggest competition at that point in time was either other bands or it was movies. And for the most part, music was a very, very big part of people's lives, certainly a lot bigger than it is now. And yeah, I mean, for a band that was in their early to mid 20s to hit it as big as they did and as fast as they did, I mean, is just it really is a testament to how good their music is. Even off of their debut. Not too many years before this, you had Guns N' Roses hit it I mean, they had the best selling debut album of all time, in 1987, and I mean they were all in their early 20s as well. I mean, and so
Was that was that
it's
Appetite
crazy
for
to think
Destruction
about. Yeah, Appetite for Destruction was the most popular debut album.
of all time?
That well, not of all time. There's certainly been other albums that have hit it bigger than they did right off the bat, but basically their competition prior to that point was Boston's debut album from 1976.
Good
So
lord.
there was 10 years between Boston's album, 11 years actually between Boston's debut album coming out and Appetite for Destruction. Now, um, I believe after that point, the second biggest debut album that ever came out would have been I got to think about this. I can't remember the band name off the top of my head. Um, I'll tell you in 1 second. Skid Row, their first album.
Yeah, that checks out with Guns N' Roses getting up there too.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
and it it definitely progressed from there on out. I mean, you had that at that point in time, the late 80s and the early 90s was just rife, full of different bands that were just absolutely, hitting strides and stuff like that. And I mean, they were just, huge bands overnight. I mean, there were a lot of bands that just made it a little bit too late to the game, and especially by the time that Facelift and Nevermind and um, Core by Stone Temple Pilots. That was 1992. Definitely that by that point, the radio rock sort of thing was on the way out, and if you didn't adapt, you were pretty much left behind. For more modern acts, and then certainly by the end of the 90s, when you started having like bands like Slipknot come out, definitely on the heavier edge of things. That's it really in a span of 10 years, music changed quite a lot, and it took us all the way up until the modern day.
See, and I think today in the modern day, genres are so hard to pinpoint for certain bands just because they implement so many different types of like musicianship into their songs. You listen to one song and it really seems like new metal, or a different one can be deathcore. You know, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing to see where it started from, where people were like, "This is what we're gonna do. This is how our style is going to be," and see it implemented successfully to where it becomes part of the culture. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
this, definitely when it comes to alternative music, this is kind of the start of that whole train.
Oh yeah. All right. So
You're
let's
right.
get on to the second song of this round. We got "I Know Something About You."
I think we're on to another hard decision.
Yeah, I am a funk kid. My dad listens to it a lot, and I love when stuff gets funky. And
Yeah, yeah.
the the guitar riff at the beginning, and then that funky bunky bass just coming in afterward and continuing on. I really like that one.
Yeah,
Mm.
as much as I like We Die Young, I kind of think I like I Know Something About You a little bit better in this circumstance. And it's like the riff for We Die Young is, and the chorus is, to me just like super iconic, for this album and stuff. But I mean, yeah, that's I Know Something About You is a just a honestly, I've read and heard people tell me that this album, like each of the different songs reminds them of what doing drugs would sound like.
That
And like I kind of get
that's
it.
pretty funny. That's pretty
Like
funny.
I kind of the when you actually sit down and listen to this, you're like, yeah, okay, like I can kind of see it.
Which, oh man, that's haunting. Knowing that one of these songs can very well be about the same drug that took Lane Staley's life.
Yeah, well, and the thing is at this point he really wasn't super. I mean, every rock star is going to be into drugs and stuff a little bit, but at this point in time, he was still considerably sober compared to what would happen later. And I think at this point in time, you really I don't think the cracks were starting to form, especially by the point when Three-Legged Dog came out in 1996. You really started to see the cracks starting to show at that point.
Yeah, and because that was when it got to the point where he was having problems recording through
Yeah,
a
I
whole
mean, he was
session.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he was just struggling to make it through sessions, and I mean, the guy was a recluse. You damn near had to, kidnap him to get him to come out of his house and stuff, or his apartment or whatever. It was just a really, really bad thing. And nice thing is you were able to get I Three-Legged Dog is kind of an interesting album. Maybe we'll touch on that one at some point going forward, but this album and Dirt, of what was happening in the grunge scene and alternative rock sort of stuff, were probably two of the most focused albums, compared to some other contemporaries. I mean, certainly more focused than Nirvana,
Yeah,
even with Nevermind and stuff like that. I mean, just all and around, the songwriting, the lyrics, the whole sort of experience of listening to it and stuff, I think is just a really interesting kind of experience and stuff. And what a privilege it is to have these albums and stuff like that.
this
You
is
know,
35, 36 years later that we're talking about it.
yeah, 36 years later, yeah,
Like it's gonna last. It's been lasting. It ain't gonna stop lasting anytime soon.
yeah, it's not gonna stop lasting, that's for sure.
All right, so I think we're both unanimous that I Know Something's
Yeah, I
gonna
think
be
we're both
moving on.
unanimous on that.
Yeah, We Die Young is great. That was a great song, but just it got a really tough matchup in the. Oh man,
Yes, yes.
that's you hate to see it. All right, so the next one we got is Real Thing versus Confusion. All right, so let's start with Real Thing. All right, that was fun. Like,
Yeah, it's that Sexual Chocolate Baby scream at the end is a reference to Coming to America starring Eddie Murphy, or
E-
Eddie Murphy, whose
Eddie
character was the singer of a band called Sexual Chocolate.
Eddie Murphy,
Yeah, Eddie Murphy.
Eh,
Yeah.
good old Eddie Murphy. You know, Eddie Murphy raw, Eddie Murphy delirious. No, no, that great riff, great vocal performance. Like it isn't Lane Staley beautifully singing and belting out notes. This is him putting his all into his voice to do something that's fucking goofy, and I love it.
Yes. Yeah, it's unapologetically just goofy as shit. Especially for being the closer on the album. It's yeah, it's just it's something interesting.
With that context, knowing that that's the final riff of the album, that's
Yeah.
really, really great choice for that album ender. And I mean, hell yeah, the last thing you hear on this album is Sexual Chocolate. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what a leaving message that is, you
Yeah.
know.
Keep this with you guys. Just tuck it in your pocket and take it with you.
Yep,
Oh yeah,
yep.
that
Yeah, we're actually listening to the back. We're actually listening to kind of like the back half because we've Sunshine was the eighth song on the album. Uh, I Know Something About You, the one that we listened to before Real Thing, is the second to last. Real Thing is the last one, and now we're about to listen to number 10, which is Confusion.
all right. And that was the end.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely Confusion. Real Thing is cool, and I love it as the album closer, but I think for me, Confusion is just like the better song, and it's just like, I mean, it's just so melancholic. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like and then it just explodes when it gets into the chorus and stuff. It's it's such a cool pick.
See, I think I'm gonna have to go with Real Thing over Confusion. I will say,
Interesting.
Confusion is probably my dark horse for the best chorus on the album. I really love the cadence that he uses and the delivery, the the emphasis on what he's saying with the instruments. Just it's such a well done chorus. But the rest of the song, I guess it's pacing matched the name. It set me in confusion. I just wasn't to expect, and
Yeah.
it's not a bad song at all, but I think I preferred Real Thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So for you, moves on. Well, for me, it's Real Thing.
Okay, now I'm gonna preface the next bracket by saying this is gonna be the two hardest songs to probably decide on. Yeah.
Bleed the Freak and Love Hate Love.
Have you've never heard either one?
Never heard. I mean, I might have, but I couldn't remember it.
Oh boy. Okay, let's get it going. Let's
All
get it
right,
going.
let's go with Bleed the Freak. All right, yeah, I think I could understand what you were saying that this is going to be a difficult one because that song was great.
Yeah, that's one of the I think that is probably one of the best songs on the album. Um, it's the fourth song on the album. So in the order that you hear them, you hear "We Die Young," which is we've already listened to. Really, just a like a great introduction, I think, for the band. And then "Man in the Box." I mean, I don't even really know if we need to listen to that one to know anything about it. But then we listened to "Sea of Sorrow." That was the first song we listened to, and it's a good song. And then the fourth song on the album is "Bleed the Freak," and it's from a personal opinion, it's definitely one of my favorite songs off the album. It is fantastic. I don't know what else to say about it other than that. It's just fantastic.
See, because like back in the day when they would do music videos, it's not like bands now where certain bands like Electric Callboy, every single song they release on an album eventually gets a music video.
Yeah,
While this
yeah. I mean, this album, yeah,
continue,
this album, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're
this
good.
album actually was pretty impressive even for the time for it being a debut album. They got 4 music videos out of this
I got
thing,
four.
and
Right.
yeah,
What was
they
the
got
fourth?
so there's a music video for "We Die Young," "Man in the Box," "Sea of Sorrow," and "Bleed the Freak."
Leave the Freak has a music video.
I believe it does. Yes.
Oh, see, I was about.
Yep.
I didn't see a music video. I might have to look for it. Uh, the
Yeah.
first three songs are used for advertising purposes for the album. That's the
Right.
music videos are meant to bring them in to buy the album. So when you bought the album, this is the first song. If they didn't, if you're right and they had this music video, then my point's mute. But this would be the first song that you hear that's not a music video, that was not advertised everywhere,
Yeah.
that is purely you're hearing it for the first time on this record, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
incredible.
saying on the release and reception part of their Wikipedia page for it, it says Facelift included 2 retail singles, "We Die Young" and "Man in the Box." So that would have been the two singles that you could have bought. And then the promotional singles was Bleed the Freak and Sea of Sorrow. And it
Okay.
said all of which had accompanying music videos. So yeah, they had four singles, all of which had a music video. You might be able to find it.
All right. So that was Bleed the Freak. Now, let's go to the other half of this toughie. Love, Hate, Love.
And this is the longest song on the album. It's 6.5 minutes long.
Good Lord. All right, let's go. That little haunting riff at the end.
Yeah.
Perfect touch. Oh boy, yeah. Now I completely see what you're saying.
Yeah, now you see what I'm talking about. I mean, I'll put it this way. For me, it's gonna be Love Hate Love. I mean, and that's hard. Honestly, like if Bleed the Freak had been against pretty much any other song except for possibly Man in the Box, maybe even Man in the Box, it would have won. But when you're putting it against, in my opinion, the best song on the album, it's kind of hard to kind of hard to choose Bleed the Freak in this one.
See, and I think what it really boils down to for me is the vibe that I want to listen to more often.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
As you said with Confusion, it's got a real Love Hate Love has such a melancholy, it's a heartbreak, you know.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of emotion in that song.
Mm-hmm.
And Lane Staley's vocal performance on that one really, really gets the point across.
See, I was originally going to pick Bleed the Freak, but I think you're right.
It's a tough one. I mean, I wouldn't even be mad at you for choosing Bleed the Freak. It's like those are, those two songs plus Man in the Box. I mean, those are both in my opinion, those are if I had to pick a top 3 songs, not in any particular order, but just, on any given day, what are the 3 best songs on this album? That's probably the 3 I would choose. It's just, and it's difficult because honestly, the rest of the songs on the album are also really good.
Yeah,
I mean, when I suggested this album to you, I knew that it was going to be a difficult one. Just because it's not like there's just absolute standouts compared to like, just a bunch of like fluff or whatever. Like the whole album is just loaded, and it's really just a game of, what's really piquing your interest at the time you listen to it, because it's like you said, tomorrow it could be different.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, and my little trial runs for this that I did, one of the albums was The Above by Code Orange. And their standout single from that album has Billy Corgan featuring on it. And I won't lie.
From the Smashing Pumpkins, yeah.
I won't lie. I do not like that feature. I think Billy Corgan is just not really needed in the song. He doesn't add anything to it, in my opinion. And I love that song. It's one of my favorites on the album. It was out in the first round to a song that was considerably weaker than it. It's just that one musical element that I didn't like over a song that had a lot of musical elements that I enjoyed. Nothing that I loved, but it just didn't have something I didn't like. And it could be just as easy as that, just one musical element, the vibe of a song. And as I said, I love the vibe of Bleed the Freak. I think it's such a fun song.
Yeah, it's a very
great.
Yeah, Bleed the Freak is, to me anyways, if I am reaching for this album or I'm reaching for Alice in Chains, that's a pretty solid choice for the one, like a song I'm going to just reach for. I mean, you kind of got to be a little bit committed, I think, to listen to Love Hate Love all the way through, even with it being as good of a song as it is. Like that's a real mood killer. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest.
That comes on in the bedroom, brings down the vibe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bleed the Freak is just immediately accessible. It's got a really catchy, the opening is just, really catchy, and, the whole song, all the riffs and the vocals, and, Yeah, it's a tough choice, but if I'm listening like, critically like we are, I mean, I'm gonna choose Love Hate Love all day long. I
Yeah,
mean, it's such a fucking
solid track.
it's just such a good song. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know about you, but I definitely think for this bracket, Love Hate Love is gonna probably kill the shit out of Bleed the Freak.
It I won't say kill, but it did inch it out. And as you were
Yeah,
just saying, like it's a 6.5 minute song.
it is.
I feel
It
like
is.
you can be a fan of, say, Man in the Box without saying you're necessarily a Alice in Chains fan. But if you're an Alice in Chains
Right.
fan, you know and love Love Hate Love.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I'll even be honest in saying, I really didn't get familiar listening to this album until the end of last year. And the recording stuff that I do in my free time and stuff, recording bands and stuff, that's this album for me, it's just like I was listening they suggested Nola by Down, which is like Phil Anselmo from Pantera's side project or whatever, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Diet
yeah.
Pantera.
Yeah.
It's and like it's okay, but it's like a really it's you got to be in a particular sort of mood to listen to that album, and it's a very dry album. And the band's sound that I'm working on is kind of, I mean, they're not Alice in Chains, but but there's like some similarities and stuff. And I'm like, man, they gave me the Down album as sort of a like a blueprint or whatever, or like oh, we really like this album kind of thing. And I'm keeping that in mind, but then I'm like, man, I got to check out like some other like early '90s, mid '90s sort of albums like this, just to get some other ideas of like what was going on, with the recording and stuff like that at the time. And yeah, I mean, I got halfway through this album and I'm just like, wow, this is really good. Because I mean, really, up until this point, the only songs that I had ever really heard was We Die Young and Man in the Box. And then, I just kept listening to the album because it was as good as it is. And it's yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean I'm definitely a bigger Alice in Chains fan now that I've listened to the entirety of this album before. You know what I mean? I'm definitely a bigger fan of Alice in Chains, and I understand why people are such big fans of Alice in Chains. I mean, everybody knows Wayne Staley was really good, but I think once you like once you listen to the whole album or listen to other songs other than like the really big ones that they had, you really gain an appreciation for the whole band instead of just Wayne Staley. Like it's not a band where Wayne Staley was carrying the rest of the band. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I think everybody is like very much doing, you know, really doing some cool stuff to make the album work.
The main portion of music and lyrics were written by Jerry Cantrell. Like
Right.
people will look at Lane Staley as a wonderful musician. Musicians look at Jerry Cantrell as the real powerhouse of that band.
Yeah.
And he still is a very powerful guitar player and songwriter.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so now we are on the bottom of the bracket right now. First, this poor song is up against a juggernaut.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
But I've never heard it, so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Fortunately, it's kind of it's a short one. It's like 3 minutes long, so it's a pretty short one.
Oh yeah. Well, this is Put You Down. So that was Put You Down. And
Yep.
you know me. I love bass, twingy bass. And that song was full of nice chunky twingy bass.
Oh yeah.
And I won't lie.
It's a good song.
That's a solid, it's putting up a solid fight. I'll give it that.
It is doing better than if it had been up if I mean Put You Down, it could have been up against a couple of other songs and definitely stood a better chance. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, when you're going up against Man in the Box, I mean,
It's just the luck of the
you're
draw.
you're probably gonna lose. Yeah.
And as you said, I don't even think we need to listen to Man in the Box. It's just
No,
so
I don't think it's yeah. I think we both heard that song so many times. It's so iconic. I mean, it's, I think that if there's any one song by Alice in Chains that's going to basically outlive anything that anybody could have ever listened to off of one of their albums, it's going to be that song.
as I said,
If for nothing else, the chorus.
people can be a fan of Man in the Box without being a fan of Alice in Chains.
Yes.
It's a song that transcended them as a band to where people will know that and will hear another Alice in Chains song and not be able to put the two together.
Right. Right. Yeah, and they're definitely one of those bands where, if you jumped immediately from Man in the Box to Confusion or Love Hate Love, you'd be like, this is the same band. The question would, it'd be a big old question mark. And yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying that Man in the Box is probably winning this one.
I mean, hey, I'm having some feelings about some other songs on this bracket, but we'll just have to see how the cookie crumbles. So with the
Right.
final matchup of this first round, It Ain't Like That versus I Can't Remember. It just sounds like somebody trying to tell their partner they weren't cheating. It ain't like that. I can't remember.
Or you can say it the other way. I can't remember. It ain't like that.
It works. All right, so let's start off with It Ain't Like That. All right.
Well, there you go. It ain't like that.
I really like that song.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's got a really, I love the chunky riff.
Yes.
It's got a certain bounce to it. It's nice.
And
It's really
that
nice.
weird little riff or whatever he's doing, I could see how that could come as an accident. It just sounds so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's one of the, like I said, it's on the back half. I think I don't remember what position the song pops up in on the album, but it's just a good one. I mean, you just can't go wrong with that one.
It is number 7. So it's
Okay, so it immediately follows Love Hate Love.
Yeah.
It's a good change of pace from that song.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It matches the dark melancholiness of Love Hate Love, but kind of the juxtaposition of instead of melancholy, it's more of an anger.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I just that song really that rhythm riff, just that chunkiness, just pushing the song, just incredible.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good.
Right. And the final song of round 1, I can't remember. I feel like this matchup was very strong in the fact that both these songs are very similar.
They are both. Yeah, they are very similar songs, and they're both. I think this is almost. I mean, this isn't as difficult. I think, or actually, it might be just as difficult as the Bleed the Freak, Love Hate Love bracket.
Just on a different level.
It's just on a different level. I mean, those two songs are just like really, really, just both really solid songs. And the same thing could be said about these two. I mean, they're I Can't Remember is the 5th song off the album, and then It Ain't Like That is the 7th song. So they both surround Love Hate Love.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, they both sort of fulfill the same purpose.
The transition into and the transition out of Love Hate Love.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think for me, just based off of where it's placed at, I Can't Remember comes after Bleed the Freak. and right before Love Hate Love. And the only judgment that I can have about I Can't Remember is that it sort of has a similar, not as drawn out, but it has a similar intro feeling that Love Hate Love has. Now Love Hate Love ends up becoming a lot darker, the longer it goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I Can't Remember isn't nearly as dark in the same way. Um, but I think it serves as a pretty good transition between, the really upbeat tempo Bleed the Freak and the much more, restrained, slowed down Love Hate Love and stuff like that. So I kind of think I might be going with I Can't Remember on this one. It Ain't Like That is just a fun song. It's a good one to get you into the second half of the album
See, and
for sure.
I think that's why it's gonna take the cake for me right here. I think that it's just
Okay, yeah.
such a good intro to the back half of this album. It is a similar yet contrasting vibe from Love Hate Love, giving it some distinct separation. And I feel like what I Can't Remember does well is done just as well, if not better, in It Ain't Like That.
And this honestly could have gone either way for both of us because this is out of any bracket on this album. Um, this is, I think, the fairest comparison of two different songs. The only other bracket on this that I'd say is pretty close in terms of comparisons is CSRO and Sunshine. Everything else is kind of lopsided, or it's really, just goated like Bleed the Freak and Love Hate Love. Um, so I think out of the six brackets, this has definitely been the most comparable of the brackets.
The closest, the
Yeah, the closest. Yeah.
not only the closest in judgment, but the closest in the songs themselves being super similar,
Yeah.
having a lot of the
Yep.
same vibes. Uh, it, it is a tough one. It is a tough one. I was sitting there listening to I Can't Remember, thinking I don't know whether or not I can put this above It Ain't Like That. There were times where I was thinking, yeah. There's times I was thinking, I'm not sure. And eventually, I had to come to the conclusion over which song. At the end of the day, for me, it's which song I'd listen to again.
Right.
And for me, It Ain't Like That is that song for me.
All right. Well, we've gotten through the first round.
Yep.
The initial six brackets. We've eliminated six songs from the from the competition. And what a good thing that we started with an album that had an even amount of songs.
Oh, so
I was thinking about that while we were listening to It Ain't Like That. I'm like, man, what would happen if we had an odd number amount of songs on an album? How would we do that?
So how that would work is during the shuffling, just whichever song's the odd man out just gets a bye, just gets a first round bye.
Just gets on through.
Mm-hmm. But then, so as you can see, we're gonna end up with 3 after this next round. It's a triple threat.
Yeah.
At that point, it's 1v1v1, which one song is gonna get the short end of the stick there, but it's just how the cookie crumbles, man. All right, so for the viewers, you will see a whole beautiful put together visual. I haven't got that put together yet, especially because I didn't know what our answers were going to be. So for round 2, the first match is going to be different for me and you. For you, Sea of Sorrow versus Confusion. While for me, it's Sunshine versus The Real Thing.
Well, I can say we can start there.
Oh yeah.
I think for me, Sea of Sorrow is taking the cake against Confusion.
Yeah, I liked Confusion, but Sea of Sorrow, it really stands on its own as a song a lot better than I feel like Confusion would.
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah. And see, on my side with Sunshine versus Real Thing, I like the vibe of Real Thing, but the emotional connection and just the musicianship in Sunshine is going to take it for me.
Sunshine is, yeah, I think Sunshine is definitely the choice to be had there.
Yeah. It's it's a very good song. Now, when we hop over to the other half, me and you were both in agreement on both of these. I Know Something versus Love Hate Love.
Oh, yeah, that's not even a competition, really, is it?
For me,
Love, hate, love.
for me, I think it is because I really like the funkiness and the it is just such a really good song. And Love Hate Love is a very good song, but you have to be in a mood for it. As you said, it's a mood killer.
Yeah, it is a mood killer. I mean, that is a non-arguable fact. Um, but you know, I think if we're just looking at it objectively, and again, this is just my opinion, objectively, even though it's a mood killer, I think it's the better. It's the better written song. Yes, it's the longest, but I think it is just it is a tank of a song, literally and metaphorically, it's a tank.
Yeah.
Um, it tanks your mood, but if you're looking for something that just embodies that sort of feeling, of a breakup or of just, a relationship that, could have been but wasn't, and, somebody got you all involved with something and all sorts of confused, and then, sort of, backed out at the last moment or whatever, that's like, you go through those upward swings of just, you're in love with a person and then like you just hate that person so much. And then, it really reminds, certainly me of like that sort of emotional roller coaster that you go through,
Oh yeah.
in that kind of situation and stuff. And so for me, it's just got that sort of, that personability, even with it being as, sad of a song as it kind of is.
I mean, yeah, everybody can connect with that. Everybody can connect with
Absolutely.
heartbreak in one way or another. Yeah, I agree with
It's a
you.
conundrum. It really is.
I agree with you objectively. Love Hate Love is the better song. Now, for the final of this round, we're a little bit different, a little bit in agreement. For you, it's Man in the Box versus I Can't Remember. Me, Man in the Box versus It Ain't Like That.
Ah, man, that's yeah. Just I feel like I would be wrong if I chose something over Man. Even though Man in the Box, I've heard it a million times. It's it is definitely, if you could be tired of a song by Alice in Chains, that would be the song that you could definitely, I don't think anybody would be upset that you would be tired of hearing that song just because it has been played into the innumerable amounts of times over the last 36 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, but I don't know, man. It makes me feel some kind of way when I listen to it, and I mean, it's just it is just such an iconically good song. I think for me, it's definitely the winner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. As much as I did like It Ain't Like That, Man in the Box, it's just it's a generational song.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah.
It is.
All right, so that brings us to our final round. And we have a little bit of variation for us.
Yeah, we do. We're off on one song. I think we may end up with the same result, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I I hate to say it, but I have a feeling both of us, CSRO and Sunshine, are going to be in third.
Yeah.
both of them are great songs,
Yeah,
but you look at Love
they
Hate
are both
Love,
great songs.
you look at Man in the Box, they just
Yeah,
they're good, but they're not great in comparison.
I would agree with you. I think it's a like for me, comparing Love Hate Love and Man in the Box that's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
That's going to be a difficult one. I for you, I don't know if it's going to be more or less difficult for you. I'm going to go, between the three of them. Yeah, CSRO is getting kind of cut right off the bat. It's, I think even between Love Hate Love and Man in the Box, I still probably am going to end up going with Man in the Box, just for the same reasons why it beat out, the last song in the bracket. The second round is, I mean, it's just got so much staying power. I mean, there's a reason why it is the best, most well-known song, um, by the band and everything like that. I mean, the lyrics, really, I think that's one thing that people don't pay attention to. They just hear the song and they don't actually like listen to the lyrics and stuff. And the song. So Lane Staley and company were at a restaurant one time, and they were talking with, I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about veal parmesan. And veal, most people don't realize, is baby cow, right?
Yeah.
And the way that they come up with veal, or they grow calves for this thing, is they put them in this tiny little box, and they grow up in this shit infested box, and that's their entire lives. They may not be alive for very long, but they've got this just miserable existence, and that really left an impression on Lane when he wrote the lyrics to this song. It's I think out of the songs that he had writing credits on for lyrics, I think this is definitely you know, some of the best off the album. And I mean, the whole song is just about the feeling of people being, fit and squeezed into this small little space in this sort of imaginary box, if you will, in their lives and stuff. And just the inescapable feeling of the whole thing, and I think the whole song really captures that and really supports that. And I mean, even though Love Hate Love has an incredible Lane Staley performance on vocals, I still think that Man in the Box has the best vocal performance. The band is performing at their best. It's just, again, I'll go back to saying it. There's a reason why it is the most well-known song by the band, and it's got the most staying power out of the all the songs on this album. And it's not the longest song, it's not the shortest song. It comes up just short of 5 minutes long, but the man doesn't leave an impression on you. And so I think for me, that's going to be my number one.
No, I can completely agree with a whole bunch of the points you've made. But for me, I think I'm gonna go with Love Hate Love as the winner. I I think the fact that Man in the Box has had so much play that I knew, as you saw, we didn't even listen to it. We knew it.
No,
We know the song. But
we do.
Love Hate Love is a song I've never heard before, and hearing it
Yeah,
just
and I don't blame you at all for choosing that one. I really don't.
yeah, it's such a beautifully haunting song, and if it's coming down to it, that little haunting reiteration of that intro riff at the end
Yeah, I mean
really
the
was.
guitar riff is just sets the mood. The drum work is fantastic. I mean, the bass work is fantastic. You've got all these little like all the thing I like about Love Hate Love, and I'm sorry I'm stealing your thunder right now, but they just got like this call and response kind of thing going on for most of the verses and stuff. It's a really slow pace. It's just brooding.
Mm-hmm.
It just like it sits on top of you like fog. It and when they finally start gaining a little bit of energy and going into the chorus, um, just the just the way that Lane delivers the vocals. I mean, just I mean, I don't. It's impressive that anybody was able to sing songs as well as he did, but just to deliver that sort of emotional, you know, sincerity behind the lyrics and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a real testament to just how talented Lane Staley was.
Seriously, it
Yeah, I don't blame you at all for choosing that one.
for you. This is what your final rankings look like.
Man in the Box, Love Hate Love, Sea of Sorrow, I Can't Remember, I Know Something, Confusion, Put You Down, Bleed the Freak, Sunshine, It Ain't Like That, We Die Young, Real Thing. Yeah, yeah, I'd say that's it's ironic that the Real Thing is the last song on the album and it's the last one on my list. I guess I guess that the chocolate reference just didn't do it for me. The sexual chocolate baby.
I guess not. The mine, we got Love Hate Love, Man in the Box, Sunshine, I Know Something, It Ain't Like That, Real Thing, Bleed the Freak, Put You Down, Sea of Sorrow, We Die Young, I Can't Remember, and coming up last for me is Confusion. It just left me there, left me in confusion.
Yeah,
But overall, wonderful album. Like both both winners like truly deserved it. They're both incredible songs. Now, for me, I think it's pretty easy the best intro on the album. It's going to go to Love Hate Love.
okay. Interesting. Okay, I actually would say Bleed the Freak.
Oh yeah. No, that's a wonderful intro. I can agree with you on that, but
Yeah, yeah, it's Love Hate Love is good.
the it's just I'm a giant fan of the Love Hate Love intro.
It's good. It's good. Okay, best chorus. Boy, what a difficult one this is gonna be.
Seriously. Uh
Yeah, I mean, what a difficult one this will be. Um, best man.
See, one that I want to look back at, I believe was Confusion?
Pretty good.
The cadence is what gets me.
I think for me, Sunshine is probably my favorite chorus on the whole album.
No, I could agree with you. That's a really good chorus musically as well. I love the instrumentals on that chorus.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna throw a curveball because I think I'm gonna I it ain't like that.
It's a good choice too. I mean, the choruses on this album, honestly, on pretty much every song, are just great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a definitely a harder comparison for me than even the brackets were. For a chorus.
Yeah.
Okay, best guitar solo. Whew. God, yeah, that's also kind of hard.
I want to say that guitar solo towards the end of Sea of Sorrow is pretty good.
It is pretty good. I might agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna go to Sea of Sorrow.
Yeah, TSRO, that's a good choice for solo. And then best music video, I I I, s- I still think Man in the Box is probably gonna pull the best music video.
See, after I've known Man in the Box for a long time. I think I'm gonna go with We Die Young. I loved the
We Die
visuals.
Young has got a cool, yeah, it's got a cool visual. That's for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed
I
it.
just anytime I think of Alice in Chains, I just think of, Lane Staley, sitting, or yeah, like sitting in the corner of a barn.
All I could, whenever I think of Alice in Chains, I think of the guy with the stitched up eyes at the end of the video. It scared the fuck out of me as a kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I remember being like 10, and VH1 would have those like top 100 songs of the 90s with talking heads and shit.
Right.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I remember being with my little brother and sister just playing around, and I look up and see fucking sewed up eyes staring at me like it's Saw. Freaked the hell out of
Oh
me.
yeah.
And then who would have known? Shit, 15 years later, I'm sitting here like, oh man, that's an incredible visual.
Yeah,
But
right.
that's what happens. You see something that pulls a
Just sticks
reaction.
with you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
pulls a reaction out of you, whether it be good, bad, indifferent, and it'll stick with you.
Mhm. I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well,
I think this is I'm glad we were able to do this. Is fun. Is a good choice.
oh yeah, it's a lot of fun to take something so widely ingested and look at it in a different light.
Yeah.
Because so many people just do an album review where they look at the album as a whole. And don't get me wrong, this album as a whole is an incredible statement to what grunge became. The
Yes.
roots of what grunge is known to be are solidly ingrained in this album.
Yeah, they definitely they put everything on display for this one.
In the best possible way. The best way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean what a debut album. I mean, let alone like just not even thinking about it just, from song to song, but just, in this light looking at it as a whole. I mean, what a debut album for any band.
Seriously.
Let alone Alice in Chains. I mean, just any band in general to really just, put themselves out there in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And for it to still, still be talked about 36 years on. I mean, that's still, I think, just a testament to the incredible achievement that they had with this thing.
Yeah. An album that has stood the test of time and will continue to stand the test of time. There'll be there's going to be kids 10 years from now, 20 years from now learning to play guitar, and they're going to learn Jerry Cantrell riffs. They're going to learn how to play Man in the Box.
Yeah, and the nice, the really good thing is Lane Staley's lyrics will live forever. I mean, I think a lot of these songs, they came out in a pretty difficult time for the world. The late 80s, early 90s was definitely a really, it's just there's a lot going on in the world at that point in time.
Because
I mean, the Soviet Union was going away.
Yeah, that's the end of the
Things in
Cold
the Middle East were
War.
getting all kinds of crazy. The United States was, kind of a weird place to live in. You had all the crazy stuff happening out in California. Not too many years after this. All kinds of just really, crazy stuff was happening, and this album came out.
It's full of
very
intensity.
intense, and I think that that coupled with just the overexposure of like the Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard, sort of California like glam rock and hair metal type stuff.
Yeah, the fame,
the overexposure of all
of
that. Yeah. I mean, they were going on 10 years of doing that thing, and there were still some bands in the early 90s, that were putting out some pretty solid material and stuff. But I mean, eventually it became so inflated that when that bubble popped, it allowed bands like this to have a voice that was going to be heard, and heard by a lot of people that weren't having such a good time, were, really living through some difficult shit. And, albums like this are definitely, testaments to just the period in time in which it came out and the more raw and visceral side of what was happening in the world that other bands were afraid of talking about. And, you know, something so commercially appealing, in my opinion, to have this much depth to it is, I would think, would be very refreshing,
Yeah.
in the year 1990.
And as we see, it was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's a sturdy album. That's what I could say about this album. It's strong, it's sturdy. I can't, like, I guess for me a weak spot is confusion, but even then that's not that much of a weak spot. I love the chorus.
It's really hard to this us coming up with this list and stuff and putting songs against each other, I think is the fairest way to compare the album, because I think if you just looked at it from the whole piece of material and nothing else, it'd be much harder, I think, to really point out sort of weak spots and stuff like that. And I mean, and the thing is even the songs that don't hit as hard as some of the others, I mean, it's just they're not even bad songs. I mean, they're really, honestly, you throw a dart on this album and you're probably going to hit something that you like. I mean, sure, there's, probably some things that some people wouldn't like. But I think if you're listening to an Alice in Chains record and you're definitely, listening to the whole thing, you've already sort of got that taste for it. Yeah, I mean, you really can't find a bad song on this one.
Not at all. And coming from a first time listen, as I said, the weakest spot on this album was confusion, and even then, that's not that weak.
It's not.
It's just
yeah.
relative. If that song came out from a different band as their head single, it could give them traction.
Right.
And
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Even at the worst moments, this album is still really good.
Oh yeah.
And for me personally, I think when it comes, like, don't get me wrong, there are definitely songs off of other Alice in Chains records. The other two, well, we'll just say other two. There's an EP that technically, Lane Staley is on or whatever that came out after this, but yeah, I mean, out of the material that Lane Staley participated on in the early to mid 90s with Alice in Chains, I think this album really encompasses them as a band better than the other records do. I think the high points on especially Dirt, the sophomore release from them, I think the highlights, the high spots on that album shine maybe a little bit higher in some aspects than this one. But I think when it comes to a collection of material, I think Facelift is my pick for their best.
You couldn't have picked a better group of songs to introduce yourself to the world with.
Yeah.
So
and go ahead.
Oh no, you continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say, that happens a lot with some bands. They've got all this time to really perfect their debut. They've spent a lot of time writing songs. They've spent a lot of time during the recording process and stuff like that, and it comes out and it just blows the doors down.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes they get lucky and their sophomore album is as good, if not maybe a little bit better. And but for a lot of bands, I mean, they maybe have 1-2 albums, right at the beginning, and then they sort of fizzle out just because of the pressure. They're under immense pressure to try to make something as good or better than what they came out with, and they're on tour, the time schedule starts crunching them.
Yeah, especially with record deals, because a band can take six years to make their first album, make all their songs, and then it blows
Yep.
up. They get a good record deal, and well, y'all got a year to make another 12 songs that kick
Yeah.
ass, and if not,
Yeah.
you're in a sophomore slump, and you're just gonna be forgotten about.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about them is Dirt just so happened to be a really damn good album too.
And that just
Um,
shows the amount of musicianship and talent that this band has.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and especially in the face of competition. I mean, one of my favorite little anecdotes about grunge, but more specifically Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots is Stone Temple Pilots' debut album Core came out on the same day as Dirt in 1992.
And yet they both were very successful albums.
They were both in Yeah, they were both incredibly successful albums. And I mean, if you were a young kid in 1992 going into the record
Oh,
store, you'd heard,
you were
maybe the
eating
first.
good. You were eating
Yeah, you had
good.
heard Facelift 2 years before, and you're like, man, I'm just itching for that next Alice in Chains record. And then you see Alice in Chains, and then, oh, what is this? New band radar activate. And here's Core by Stone Temple Pilots, and then you're like, man, you know, I like this kind of music, and then you listen to both of them, you're like, whoa,
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
So, if you were to give this album a rating 1 through 10, now I'm going to give mine first just as an example. For me, I think this album is a solid, solid, solid 8.5.
that's probably I would that's probably where I would put it too. 8.5, pretty close to 9.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's a damn good album.
it
I
really
mean,
is.
it's a damn good album. I think if for it to be a 10, every song on the album would have to just be really, really hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Really hitting in stride, and I think it's respectable to be put at an 8.5 or a 9. You know,
Yeah, I mean it's as solid as you can get for an album essentially, because at the end of the day, an album it isn't always going to be strong all the way through. The best ones are, but not every hit is a home run. But some of those base runs, they look pretty good on your fucking tape.
oh yeah, oh yeah. This album is definitely one of the cases of where a individual battle may not have won the war, but you won so many battles along the way that you ended up winning the war.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
There's definitely no, um, even though there are definitely some standout songs, I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's any just turd.
Oh yeah. There's no clear cut worst song on this album.
No, I mean, yeah, I think really when you start stacking it up against itself, yeah, I mean, sure, could you put it up against other albums and maybe say, yeah, that's maybe a weaker release? You could, but I think if we're sticking to just comparing the album to itself and nothing else and just considering what's going on, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah. A great album. Uh Great music videos, great creativity, just uh, shit, even the album cover is iconic.
Yeah, I mean, what an image that is.
Just the whole package there. Incredible
Yeah.
musicianship, incredible music, incredible visuals, artistry. You can't go wrong with Alice in Chains Facelift.
No. Unequivocally recommended.
All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps up this first episode of Record Ranked. As we continue to do this, there will be a few Spotify playlists for the winners and then the best ofs. But that'll come after we do a few more of these, to where it's not just one song on a playlist. But
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, that's. I realized we didn't even introduce ourselves. We're just talking heads. I'm Saint Sumo. He is Don, and we like to talk about music.
I think it's a big passion for the both of us.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're both musicians, and you know, I do the recording engineering on the side and stuff, and you know, it's been a huge part of both of our lives, and yeah, we just love music, and getting to talk about it, and you know, spend a little while, you know, really diving in deep to an album and stuff like that, and learning some new information about it, and you know, even listening to songs that I've heard before, and really, you know, thinking about you know how much I like certain songs compared to others and stuff. You know, it's really a good time, and I look forward to doing more of these.
It's always interesting to hit something with critical thinking. And I think that's what we do here. We look at these things with the critical lens. And I think the biggest part that I'm excited for is the audience. You know, I want to see your guys' rankings. I want to see your brackets. I want to see what songs you think are the best. And leave it down in the comments. You know, send us a message. Get involved. Like, subscribe, follow, all the good old jazz that everybody says. You know. But hey, if you liked the video, we'll make another.
Oh, more is definitely coming,
Oh yeah.
and don't be surprised when it's something a little bit different.
All right. And that is all.